Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Hello. Hey.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I must have had it muted or something. All right, bye. All right, I don't have a camera, so I don't think I'm going to appear, but I am here.
Okie dokie. What we got?
Barry Ward.
Okay, hey Barry.
Hey,
So
everybody looks good.
Well, you sound good. So we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're going to go ahead and do the roll call of the for the Occupational Licensing Review Commission. Leslie Ricard Chambers is present. Any other members present? Allison Clark. No response. Renee Free. No response. Todd Parker.
Present.
Barry Ward.
Present.
Okay, so that's 3 out of the 5 members. We have a quorum. We're going to move forward with the next item on our agenda, which is public comment. Does anyone have, and let me unmute everyone. Let's see. Okay. Does anyone have any public comment relative to our last meeting, or even the meeting that we are before we start our meeting today? Everyone should have been able to access the agenda today, and so if you've got any questions preliminarily, please let us know. All right, I think Renee, are you on? I just saw you log in. Okay. All right, so moving forward, to the approval of the minutes from the February 28th, 2020 meeting. The meeting minutes were submitted electronically to the commission members. Has everyone had an opportunity to review those minutes?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So that's Barry and I think Todd. Are you able to unmute yourself, Todd?
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
If appropriate, I would like to make a motion to approve.
All right. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 28th, 2020 meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Need a second.
All right. Any opposition? All right. With no opposition, the motion carries and the minutes are approved. So we will move forward with the items on the agenda. First, we are going to hear from the Louisiana Board of Examiners and Certified Shorthand Reporters. Do we have representation from that board present?
Yes, David Marcello. I'm the counsel for the CSR board, and we've also got the administrator, Vicki Nguyen, online.
Okay, very good. And if you all, who's going to be presenting? You, David, or?
I'll explain the two rules, yes.
Okay, so we will first hear, go ahead and give us a high-level overview of the proposed, the first rule change, please.
Right. The CSR board has had a program of continuing education for some years. And as part of that, it lists a number of activities that are not eligible for continuing education credit. One of those prohibitions in the past has been on online training. Fairly obvious reasons, the board has had reason to second guess that judgment. And the proposed rule would would lift the prohibition and allow for online live webinars in two of the most areas having to do with ethics and rules governing the court reporters. The board, just by way of background, is the regulatory body that oversees the practice of court reporting, transcripts of court proceedings. So this would allow licensed court reporters to acquire continuing education credit through live webinars for matters pertaining to ethics and rules governing the practice of court.
Okay, and just for a point of clarification, that's Rule 46 colon 21.611B, is that correct?
Yes, it's listed as Rule 611B in the Louisiana Administrative Code.
All right, and let's move forward to your next proposed rule change.
The second rule change has to do with the licensing fees. The rate schedule has been set for maximum fees chargeable by the CSR board was fixed statutorily in the 1990s. The legislature saw fit recently to pass Act 5, which authorizes a higher statutory limit, and the board, pursuant to that statutory authorization, is proposing to increase fees for renewal and reciprocal certificates from $125 to $175. And that's an annual licensing fee. And the fee for reinstatement of a suspended or revoked certificate, reporters who've allowed their licensing to go delinquent for failure to pay the fees, would provide for an increase in the penalty from $25 to $50 for a certificate that's delinquent for a period of up to 1 year. And then corresponding increases for delinquencies up to 2 years or in excess of 2 years. So it's a modest fee increase authorized pursuant to statutory approval by the legislature.
Okay. Do any of our commission members have any questions for the Board of Examiners and Certified Shorthand Reporters?
Not at this time.
Okay. And I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of the rules.
Okay, and is there a second?
I would second that.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and any opposition? All right, no opposition, the motion carries, and the proposed change by the Louisiana Board of Examiners and Certified Shorthand Reporters has been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we are going to hear from the Louisiana Licensed Professional Counselors Board of Examiners. Do we have representation from that board?
Good morning. This is Jamie Doming, Executive Director of the LPC Board.
Good morning. Glad you can join us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Do you want to go ahead and give us a high-level overview of your proposed rule changes?
Yes, so we're proposing that we remove the 1-year requirement that we currently have for provisional licensees to provide teletherapy. We're also proposing 3 hours of training rather than 9 hours of training. We're not going to require coursework as a graduate program because they are now incorporating telehealth. We would also like to add that there's HIPAA compliance when providing telehealth. and that we can allow 100% of online supervision.
Okay, and for purposes of clarification, that is relative to Rule 505, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board regarding that proposed rule change?
No.
No.
All right, and let's move forward then with proposed rule change to rule number 3701.
So this is in regard to the marriage and family therapists. We require currently that they take the AMF TRB board exam. A lot of other states have equivalent exams. So we would like to be able to endorse those applicants coming from out of state that have taken another exam.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board, from the commission?
No.
No.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of both of those rules.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
would
Parker.
second that.
Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? All right, with no opposition, the motion carries and the proposed rule change by the Louisiana Licensed Professional Counselors Board of Examiners has been approved. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we'll move forward with the Louisiana State Board of Dentistry.
Hey, Arthur Hickam, the Executive Director of the Louisiana State Board of Dentistry, is here representing the State Board of Dentistry.
Good morning, Arthur. How are you today?
Fine, fine. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Please move forward with giving us a high-level overview of your proposed rule changes, beginning with Rule 322.
Okay, Rule 322 will allow certain violations to be expunged. We inspect dental offices. We inspect dental offices every 3 years, and sometimes they have minor violations, like their sterilizer is not working properly, and we just think that if it's such a minor violation that if they haven't had any further violations after 3 years, that it would be nice for the dentist to be able to get that expunged from his record. So that's all that 322 does.
Okay, and I was a prosecutor for a long time, so when you say expunged, I'm thinking about a criminal record. So just for purposes of my knowledge, so the expungements here with the Board of Dentistry, it's sort of, I guess it's the equivalent of removing, I guess, a bad record from
Right.
a dentist's record, correct? Okay.
Not a criminal record, but you know, these when we settle and make them pay a fine, it's a public record. And when people do searches, the first thing they find sometimes when they do a search for a dentist, first thing they find is his violation, and it seems a lot worse than it is to the public, I think.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the commission members?
No.
All right. And I'll entertain a motion at this time. Do we have a motion to approve?
I would move to approve.
Thank you. And is there a second?
I second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 And any opposition? With no opposition, the motion carries and the proposed rule change by the Louisiana State Board of Dentistry has been approved. Thank you, Dr. Hickam.
Wait a sec. I actually have two rules on.
That's right. That's right. I'm sorry. Rule 1502.
All right, so this is doing away with the need for an office permit for to give nitrous oxide. We still are retaining. A dentist has to have a personal permit and an office permit, and we just really don't think that the office permit for a nitrous oxide is necessary. So we're just getting rid of that.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Dr. Hickam regarding that proposed rule change?
I don't.
No.
No.
Okay. And with that, I'll entertain a motion. Do we have a motion to approve?
I
I
would
do,
move.
Renee.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, no opposition. The proposed rule change by the Board of Dentistry, both of those rule changes have been approved.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Dr. Hickam. All right, now we'll move forward with the Louisiana State Board of Nursing. Do we have representation on the call today?
Hi, yeah, this is Jennifer Wright. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer.
Good morning, Ms. Wright. How are you?
All right, and yourself?
Good. Thank you for being with us this morning. Can you please give us a high-level overview of the proposed rule changes, beginning with rule number 45005?
Sure. 4505 actually aligns LSBN's rules with the requirement that went into effect with Act 414 that came out of Louisiana's 2019 legislative session. There was a requirement for APRNs, that's advanced practice registered nurses, to have certain provisions whenever they prescribe medication assisted treatment for substance use disorder. So 4505 simply creates the definition and language that was required in Act 414 that required APRNs to provide MAT or medication assisted therapies, and the collaborating physician must also be authorized to provide the same therapy. So 4505 aligns us with the requirement of Act 414.
Okay. And do we have any questions from the commission?
No.
All right, let's move forward with rule number 4507.
4507 actually also helps to align our language, since the Louisiana State Board of Nursing is now a member of the Nurse Licensure Compact. And we allow and issue compact licensure. We allow nurses to practice in our state who have an RN compact license from another state. And so 4507 definitions actually expand our provisions in that APRNs can either have an RN license issued by Louisiana, or they may have a multi-state license issued by another jurisdiction that's in the compact. So 4507 adds the provisions for allowing multi-state licensure for APRNs.
Any questions from the commission?
No.
All right. Thank you. And let's move forward to rule 4513.
4513 also has a section, again, allowing multi-state licensure as an RN. And it also cleans up a technical error where we have a reference to another statute, section 6515, that should be 6915. So there's a clarification there. And there's also a technical change in that the Louisiana Board of Pharmacy is revising and cleaning up some redundancies in their rules. And so for us to have our cross references to the Pharmacy Board's rules, we actually added a section that allows us to generally reference the Louisiana Pharmacy Practice Act.
All right. Any questions from the commission?
No questions.
No.
All right. And I'll entertain a motion relative to all three of the proposed changes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
All right, second. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposition? With no opposition, the motion carries and the proposed rule changes by the Louisiana State Board of Nursing has been approved. Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move forward with the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry. Do we have representation on our call today?
Good morning. I'm Amanda LaGrue, counsel for the Department of Agriculture and Forestry and Louisiana Horticulture Commission. Also participating is Dr. Ansel Rankins, Director of Louisiana Horticulture Commission.
Thank you. Thank you all for being with us this morning.
Thanks.
All right, Ms. LaGrue, can you please proceed with giving us an overview of the first proposed rule change, rule number 113, please?
So this is actually for approval for final publication of the rules. This was previously before this commission on October 30th of 2019, and we received unanimous approval to file with the register the notice of intent for Rule 113, 115, and 117. So the notice of intent was filed January 20th, 2020. All interested persons had until February 10th, 2020 to submit comments or requests for hearing. There was no comments were received, no requests for hearings were received, and the rules have not been amended, changed, or modified since the publication of the notice of intent.
Okay, all right. So this is, we're just reviewing something that technically we've already taken action on, correct?
Right, we want to publish the final rule in the register,
Okay.
the final rules.
Okay, and is there a question?
I make a motion that we approve the rule.
All right,
Final.
all right. I have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And with no opposition, the motion carries. And the approval of the publication of those final rules has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. LaGrue. All right, now we'll move forward with the Board of Pharmacy. Is there any one on the call from the Board of Pharmacy? I see Mr. Broussard.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Sorry about that.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah, Malcolm Broussard, Executive Director for the Board of Pharmacy here.
All right. And Mr. Broussard, you can proceed by giving us a high-level overview of your proposed rule changes, beginning with rule number 505.
And just so to put all of this in context, 505 and then 24, 41, 43, and 2451, all of these are actually up for second review by the Commission. But I'll begin with 505. We published our notice of intent. We had a public hearing in May, and this basically repeals a drafting error. In 2012, the board went through the rules and removed the requirement for the public display of all the credentials for all of its licensees, the people, but not the pharmacies. And in 2012, we forgot one little sentence that's appearing in section 505. So all this does is fix a drafting error from 2012.
Okay, so we have a technical change there in 505.
Right.
Okay. Any questions from the commission members?
No.
Okay. All righty, and please proceed with the remaining items, Mr. Broussard.
Okay, and all of these are in the board's rules for marijuana pharmacies. And there were 2441, the proposed change, and we published the notice of intent. We had a public hearing on May 29. 2441, we have a definition of marijuana. The board's marijuana rules were promulgated in 2017. And we're still in those original rules. The legislature has changed the definition of marijuana twice since then. So rather than chase statutory revisions of the definition of marijuana, we propose to just simply take the definition out of our rules, and whatever the legislative definition is at the time, that's what will prevail in our rules.
Okay.
2443 is a current limitation that no single container may contain more than a 1-month supply of marijuana. And it's important to note that these rules that were promulgated in 2017 predated any marijuana products in the market. In fact, we didn't even know what dosage form would be available in 2017. So this was, as many of our rules were in 2017, in an abundance of caution in the context of an undeveloped marketplace. Now fast forward, and we've had since August of 2019, one product on the market, and it exists in the form of a tincture or an oral solution packaged in a 1-ounce container with a calibrated dropper. And in the treatment protocols with marijuana, and particularly in naive patients who've never used marijuana before, the treatment paradigm begins with start low and go slow. So for the naive patient at the beginning of that therapy, depending upon the dosing recommendation for the particular medical condition being treated, that 1-ounce container will probably contain more than a 1-month supply. It may last 2 months. As time goes forward, as the dosage increases, then it's more likely that that product may contain maybe only 1 month or maybe slightly less than a month. So at the dispensing pharmacy level, their challenge for the naive patient is pour off more, and waste, which is more than 1 month supply, or dispense the entire container and be in violation of the rule. So the board's proposition is to remove that 1 month limitation, which was arbitrary, admittedly, at the beginning, and in an abundance of caution. Some people have conflated this rule with not prescribing more than a 1 month supply, and that's actually a separate question, and the board's actually engaged in that conversation right now. But this proposed rule is only to remove the arbitrary 1 month supply limit in a container that's dispensed by the pharmacy.
Okay. And this rule change was approved, as you said, at the last meeting, correct?
Yes, the commission met in February.
Right.
And commission gave us approval to move forward with these. So in the full disclosure, we did have the public hearing. We did have some opposition to the proposed rule. But when we look at those comments, I think they were conflating the separate question of how much can a physician prescribe, 1 month supply, 2 month supply. That's a separate question. So the board considered those comments, saw the confusion, saw no reason to make a change to the original proposed rule.
Okay. Are there any questions by the commission members?
No questions.
Okay.
No.
All right, Mr. Broussard, so that covers all 4 of the items on the agenda, correct? Or
Well, the 2451 is, again, one of those original provisions of the 2017 rule. The current restriction on a marijuana pharmacy is that it may not dispense regular prescription drugs or certainly any other controlled substances. It may only dispense cannabis products, durable medical equipment, and over-the-counter and other retail items. The mindset at 2017 was we didn't know whether or not the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration would be aggressive in trying to clamp down on even state-approved medical marijuana programs. So we didn't want to give the DEA a reason to look at a marijuana pharmacy. Fast forward to now, and more than half the states have marijuana programs. The federal provisions we're aware of say that as long as a pharmacy is operating within the confines of a state-approved medical marijuana program, their directions to their law enforcement agencies is don't waste your precious resources enforcing federal laws on those pharmacies. So what this proposed rule does is it removes the restriction on dispensing regular prescription drugs. It still will not allow them to dispense any other controlled substance. In order to do that, they would need to get a federal DEA registration. And as long as marijuana is still a Schedule I, we don't anticipate the DEA giving a marijuana pharmacy a DEA registration. So they still cannot dispense any other controlled substances, but this would allow them to act like a pharmacy and dispense other prescription drugs. So that's a proposed restriction. There was one comment that the board received in opposition to that. They believe that the marijuana pharmacies knew the rules when they came in, and the rules should not change. The board considered that comment, and reflecting that it was an original restriction in an abundance of caution based upon a concern for what might happen that has not happened, the board didn't see a reason to maintain that restriction.
Okay. Any questions from the commission members?
I have
No.
one question.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Free.
Just a point of clarity. Did he say that they would remove the regular prescription restrictions so they can do regular prescriptions, and if they want to dispense controlled dangerous substances, that they can get a license from the DEA? Did I hear that right?
What this proposed rule change will do is it will allow them to dispense regular prescription drugs.
Right.
In order to dispense other controlled substances, they would have to get a DEA registration. But
Okay.
we don't envision the DEA giving a marijuana pharmacy a DEA registration. So we
Okay.
know for practical purposes, that's not going to happen.
Okay. All right. I got you. Thank you.
You're
I have
welcome.
Thank you.
no questions.
Thank you, Ms. Free. Any other questions from the commission members?
No.
Okay. All righty. And so I am going to entertain a motion to publish the final draft of the proposed or the previously approved rule changes from the Louisiana Board of Pharmacy. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
My second.
Okay. And all those in favor say aye.
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 All right. No, with no opposition, the motion carries, and the proposed, the previously approved rule changes have been approved to be published. The final draft has been approved to be published. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you.
All right. And last, we have the Louisiana State Board of Medical Examiners. I believe Dr. Collada is on the call.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Collada is here, and assisting me when needed will be our general counsel, Miss Mary Payton, and assigned outside counsel now detailed to our agency, Miss Patricia Wilton of the AG's office.
All right. Thank you all for being on with us this morning. And please proceed with giving us a high-level overview of the proposed rule changes, starting with rule number 323, please.
Madam Chairman, first of all, let me say that I'd like to thank the organization, your assistants and your staff, and these numerous rules that we're putting forth. We couldn't have done this without you, and we appreciate your work very much. And to make it easy, I'm going to take the first three,
Yes, sir.
323, 361, and 363, and notice you that this is a first pass through your commission, and it talks about qualifications of licenses. And basically, the historic background on this is that about 10 to 15 years ago, the board looked at some data, and it saw that physicians who had been in training less than 3 years had a higher incidence of procedural, not necessarily higher incidence of personality or other problems, but procedural problems, quality of medicine problems, but not issues relative to substance abuse and things like that. And so the board at that time acted to make everybody have a 3-year training before they could get an unrestricted license. The Louisiana medical schools petitioned later on to change that to a 1 year, and it has been that way for several years. And now we are seeing the advent of highly trained, highly qualified physicians from other medical schools outside of Louisiana, which had been continued to be on a 3-year program. But it now seems that these people are at much higher training, and we propose a system to allow those people who come from approved medical schools to be out and and get their training in such a way that they could then look exactly like and mirror the American trained people. We have those qualifications for license in 23. We have the application procedure in 61, and we have the additional requirements in 63. So again, one thing that I note in terms of 23, we use a combination of a World Health Organization educational evaluation of the schools, and we use the National Committee on Foreign and Medical Education and Accreditation from the federal government of the United States for these foreign schools. And this helps us determine that these schools are equal to the training received in an American school at the time that the applicant applies. And if you have any other specific questions on these three, I'd be happy to address them.
All right, any questions from our commission members?
No.
Hearing none. Please proceed with the next items, Dr. Kalata.
Okay, and this is going to be 46, 45, sections 435, 439, 441, and 443. And again, this is also a first report to your commission. And basically, we are in 435, we are changing the medical education requirements. We're documentation procedures as to how to handle failure to satisfy medical education requirements and application requirements to all licensees and resolution of conflict in our rules. And basically what's going on is that we are moving from a system where the applicant sends us, we now require nothing to be sent to us. We do about a 3%, 2 to 3% audit. And we feel that that's probably not getting what we need. And so basically what we're now going to require is that everybody who takes continuing medical education go through a system, an electronic education tracking system. This system will be free to use to the physicians and other licensees as we evolve this through the entire agency. And it can change from time to time, but we'll always endeavor to keep this free to the user. There are some higher levels of use for people who want to pay for more handholding, but basic use is free. And what this would require is that at the end, when you go to renew your license, in the rolling 12 months before you get your license, you would have to have completed the satisfactory number of CMEs. And we would not renew licenses if it does not occur. What this then would allow us to do is assure the public that 100% of those licensees have gotten their continuing medical education, rather than going back sometimes 2 years later, doing a retrospective audit, and then taking people's license away for something that they almost can't comply with to get the CMEs for those years. So this is what we're trying to do in all 4 of these rules. And if you have any specific questions on any of the individual 435, 439, 441, or 443, I'll be happy to answer it. And if I can, I'm sure my 2 attorneys will be happy to do it for me.
Thank you, Dr. Kalata. Any questions from the commission members?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you. And Dr. Kalata, please move forward with the next items on the agenda, please.
Yes, ma'am. This is again a first time report to your commission. And this is for 46, 45, 1307. And this is amending the rules to allow certain levels of podiatrists, not all, to qualify to do histories and physicals. And at the present state, we do not allow any of these podiatrists to do history and physicals. The training of podiatrists has changed markedly over the last 10 to 12 years. And the board recognizes that. And there are going to be some podiatrists who are as well trained to do histories and physicals as many first-year medical students, second-year, third-year, fourth-year residents sometimes. And I think it's important to understand that what we're doing is assigning those people who have that kind of training, that ability to do so. We think it serves the patients. We think it serves the orderly running of institutions. And we think it's in the best interest of the practice of podiatry in those unique situations.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission members about that particular provision?
No.
No.
I move to approve.
All right, and I think we've 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got about 5 more items Dr. Kalata, so you please proceed with those.
All right, and so the next that I had was 46, 45, 99, 35. And this is an assessment of fees and costs. The board has looked at and had some severe criticism about its policies on assessing fees in disciplinary matters. What this is, these fees, these are not fines. I want to make it perfectly clear. These are not fines. These are an attempt to recoup the costs when an applicant decides to take multiple appeals on the hearing procedure, loses all of those appeals. Then the board can take all of the cost it used to defend those and handle those appeals, and then assess those costs. And in essence, the winner recovers from the loser on the cost, because it can get very costly, especially if you have physicians who have large amounts of disposable income that choose to fight us. And it can be in multiple jurisdictions and even in multiple states. So what we've done is we've said that we're going to set a maximum limit for physicians at $75,000, but we have put an exception in there because we have had a few cases where we have incurred costs of several $100,000, and the board and or the hearing officer can assess those higher costs if we, the petitioner at the board level, ask them to do so. And if that can't be done at the hearing officer level, it can go to the full board as well. For non-physicians, we've reduced that number as well, and that's maximum of 25,000. And I think the intent here is clearly to make it easier for most of our licensees to do those appeals and not fear a tremendous cost level, but certainly some of those that cause the agency to have great expense, we could come back and recoup that. But again, these are not fines. These are actual costs that the agency incurs to do the work of these disciplinary hearings and appeals at multiple levels. So if you have any specific questions, I'll be happy to address them for you.
All right, any questions from our commission members? All right, hearing none, let's move forward to the next items on the agenda, please.
And this will be 46, 45, 402, and 412. And again, this is a first report to your commission. And these have to do with new rules to provide additional permits and declared emergencies for former retired licensees who meet specific criteria. This is the outgrowth of what we've been going through in the last several months of the COVID crisis. We've had some hospitals who have said, look, I got a nice retired physician who retired a few years ago, and it'd be so much trouble for him to get a license. He doesn't want to do it. But in this crisis, could we get him to come in, handle the non-COVID patients so that our regular staff can address the large number of COVID sick patients? And our initial response was to look at this, and we worked together with the governor's office. We worked together with Louisiana Hospital Association, and we came up with amounts to these temporary rules. And these basically allow the hospital to send us, the board, a request to reactivate a license, that they will grant this person privileges, that they feel he's capable of doing the work. We can put this on without doing a criminal background check because they're vouching for him, in essence, saying we know him. He's been in our community, he's been on our staff. And then this allows to go ahead and give them the emergency temporary permit. And we wish to put this in our permanent rules. And this is the request here. And if you have any questions about that, please, I'm happy to address them for you.
All right, any questions from our commission members?
No.
All right.
No.
Hearing no questions, please proceed with the next items, Dr. Kalata.
Yes, ma'am. This will be 4645, 9714, and 9716. And again, these two are first reports for you. And these are to provide guidelines to licensees regarding complaint decision and/or criteria the board may consider in determining whether informal complaint disposition is non-disciplinary or disciplinary. And these are guidelines for determining whether to issue public or non-public actions and how we use and what those guidelines are. And a lot of these stem from criticisms and recommendations from the Louisiana legislative audit, their performance audit done on the agency. And there is a list of these things which determine aggravating circumstances and mitigating circumstances and define clearly so everybody will know in advance what the issues are and what we would report, what we could not report. And this also will help us to conform and work with the National Practitioner Data Bank in reporting what is public and non-public. If you have any specific questions, I'm happy to address them for you.
Thank you. Any questions from our commission members?
No,
No
ma'am.
question.
Oh, all right. And hearing no questions, I'll entertain a motion relative to all of the items that Dr. Collada has presented relative to the Louisiana State Board of Medical Examiners.
I so move.
All right, is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Right. Any opposition? And with no opposition, the motion carries and the proposed rule changes by the Louisiana State Board of Medical Examiners have been approved. Thank you, Dr. Collada.
Okay, well, we'll try and keep moving on. I have some rulemaking with regard to, I think that covers, maybe that covers everything.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
That's everything on the agenda.
Well, we really appreciate the time, the help, and the patience that you've shown our office in getting these
problem.
done, and we thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. And so we'll move forward on to the next item on our agenda, which is the public comment section. Do we have any public comments? And it doesn't appear as if we have any public comments on our from our YouTube viewing. How about anyone that's on the Zoom link right now present on the Zoom call? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward to the next item, which is other business and next meeting date.
Hey, Leslie?
Madam
Yes.
Chair,
Yes.
I'm not sure if we got you in time some attachments for petitions for rulemaking and process of rulemaking. I know we didn't discuss it, and this would revise Title 46, 45, 9301, and 9311. And these are outgrowths of statutory requirements. I think it's 454 of 2019. And I just want to make sure that if you want to put it on the next agenda, that's fine with me. If you want to hear it today, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's put it on the next agenda so that our commission members have an opportunity to read through that information. I'm going to propose that we set another date within the next 30 to 45 days.
Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you.
We appreciate it.
No problem. We'll let you know when that next meeting date will be. And Todd, I think you had a question.
Yeah, do we need to, based on our actions today, do we need to move forward with a resolution identifying these items?
I think that's a good idea. I was going to propose that we take that under consideration relative to our February 28th meeting as well, because we have not yet approved those or adopted those items.
Oh, I thought we did. Looking at the minutes from the previous meeting, I thought we did.
Well, no, we there were a few things that were removed from the initial agenda, and so I had to go back and change it, make some changes, and so what I emailed you all this morning was the draft from what we approved from that February 28th day.
Okay.
And so I wanted to make sure that we highlighted the main difference from that February 28th meeting. Initially, the Board of Pharmacy in particular had proposed a rule change to create a Chapter 30. And so because of the issues, some issues surrounding that proposal, we did not take a motion on it. And we delayed the conversation to today. And then, of course, we again removed the item from today's agenda. And so we are likely to hear that proposed rule change at the next meeting. So I guess in a nutshell, the resolution that I emailed this morning is an accurate reflection of what we addressed on the February 28th meeting. And
Okay.
so that's what I requesting you all to review and to approve
Okay.
the resolution on that.
So I do have a question. Whenever we have these resolutions, we have all the different boards or commissions coming to us for a first time or a second review. And
Right.
I'm thinking maybe we need to distinguish our approval, one being, okay, we approve to initiate the promulgation process, the notice of intent. And two, those coming to us a second time, we just differentiate those as moving forward with the final adoption or whatever that wording would be.
Sure.
Just to make it clear.
No, I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that. Were there any items that you identified from the February 28th resolution that were probably approved previously, and then on the February 28th date, we just, I guess,
I
approved?
did not. I did not.
Okay, because that's, and this particular resolution is supposed to reflect what we approved
Right.
for the first time on that date.
Okay.
But I completely agree with you that we definitely need to make sure that we highlight what was approved or adopted in terms of the rule change as a first run, and then if we've got rules that are being revisited for final passage, we definitely need to identify those as well.
Right. Yeah, I think moving forward, that's what we should do.
Okay. All right. So do we have a motion to adopt the resolution that I emailed you all this morning? I don't know if you've all had a chance to take a look at it.
Okay, I'm looking at it right now, and didn't we take off the stuff for the PBMs? For the pharmacy board?
We did that, and that was chapter 30. So that's right. So that's not, oh, I see. Well, nope, I guess I didn't take it off.
Leslie,
I just thought we didn't
did.
entertain that, did we?
No, you're correct. We did take that off, and I don't know why I thought that I took that off before I emailed that to you all.
So if we were maybe to make a few changes to that resolution to reflect what we just talked about and what Renee just mentioned, would there be a problem in just bringing that back up at the next meeting?
I don't think so.
I mean, we're not, all these agencies that we approved previously that are on here have been notified, right?
Right,
So
correct.
is that right? Okay.
Correct, yes.
So whatever the other members desire, I'm just making that comment. Renee, what do you think?
I don't know what, actually I'm at a loss because I don't know what the rules are with regard to that. The rules of order.
I know we have to provide written approval or disapproval. We have to, and I think we've determined that we're doing that through resolution.
Correct.
And that's why
Can we amend the resolution verbally and then adopt a quote unquote amended resolution today? I just don't want to.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Trouble.
No, I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then let's make a motion to amend the resolution to reflect what was in fact considered on and voted on at our last meeting.
Okay.
All right.
I'll second.
All right. And all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any opposition? And with no opposition, that motion carries. And so we are going to adopt the amended resolution to reflect what was actually approved by this commission on that February 28th commission meeting. All right.
Very good.
All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. How about setting a next meeting date?
It's fine with me. I do know that we have other people that want to attend.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So,
Do you want to pick a tentative date?
yeah, I tentatively, I think somewhere maybe August 27th. Is that too soon for y'all?
August 27th, that works for me.
Okay.
Good for me as well.
In the
Great.
morning?
Yes, ma'am, at 10 a.m.
Okay.
All right, so we are going to schedule the next meeting on August 27th. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
All
A
right.
second.
All right, with that, we're gonna approve a motion. The motion has been approved. We're going to adjourn this meeting. Y'all have a good day, okay?
You too.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing everybody. Take
You
care.
too. All right, you too. Bye-bye.